Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my TFT patch note 9.15 rundown. So the meta's been kind of weird recently. Demons have kind of god moded the last 2 weeks of play, and I'm hoping to see a lot of demon nerfs. Aside from that, you see a lot of rangers currently, and quite a bit of actually it's just all demons. I'm gonna be honest, it's literally demons. And like 3 people try to go rangers, and that's the entire meta right now. Hoping to see a lot of shakeup because yeah, it's a little bit boring. I think the best way to play not League of Legends, TFT, is to have a wide variety of different metas and synergies that you can choose. There's a lot of dead synergies in the game, which I hear they're buffing, and there's a lot it's not as wide as you could be because the singular units are really, really powerful. Units, especially like Morgana, Aatrox, Varus, Kennen, are kind of warping the meta a lot right now, and I'm hoping to see a lot of nerfs toward them. Anyways, let's keep going. We're giving the defensive origins and classes more beef. Knights, Guardians, and Nobles now form a more solid frontline and or give you defensive bonuses to your whole team. But beware of the reworked Void monsters looking to rip through your line with true damage. We're also decreasing the amount of health players lose every round to open up more strategies around win streaks and loss streaks. Rounding out the patch, Ninja Trade has been reworked. Demons got nerfed, thank God. Dragons now care a little bit about magic damage, thank God. And Pirates make more money. I don't know why. We're aiming to send out the B side of the patch next Wednesday around noon, which is so it's next Wednesday. Okay. And then this patch will be out sometime tomorrow. Got it. So win streak, loss streaks, we're making win streaks and loss streaks more beneficial. So win streaks activate 1 round earlier for both the +2 and the +3. I don't think win streaks need any more buffs in this game, to be honest. But loss streaks, I feel like definitely do. I think in DAC, I was okay taking like a 5-game loss streak. In this game, if you take a 5-game loss streak, you're probably dead. And so that's why everyone tends to push really, really hard to always level up and stack econ. I think that while I'm not too happy that win streaks got buffed, I don't think it really matters if win streaks get buffed as much as it matters for the losing player to get loss streaks. So while I also think it's weird to not have it symmetrical. Like it would just be weird to be like, oh, by the way, win streaks are a little bit off and loss streaks are a little bit like this. I'm hoping with the additional buffs to reduce damage, the loss streak buff here and the reduced damage will make econ a more viable strategy. Let's keep going. Class breakdowns. We're gonna new breakdowns for new classes for reasons. Just don't worry about it. Okay. 6 gunslingers fire chance to fire 3 additional attacks. Brawlers gain 1200 HP. Shapeshifters gain 120 bonus HP. 6 of them. Blade Masters now gain 4 extra attacks. This one is currently possible. Blade Master Spatula. Interesting. Looks like a lot of future proofing. Like in the future, they're probably gonna release another gunslinger, another brawler, another shapeshifter, and another blade master. Pretty reasonable assumption to make. And that's cool. Like this really doesn't have much relevance, especially the last one doesn't have any relevance. Like if you ever goes 9 blade masters, that's just like a YouTube highlight montage. It's not in the real game, more than likely. What else? Player damage. You're lowering the damage players takes from minions and certain tier star levels. Okay, this is really, really important. Okay, damage to spiralings and elemental golems got reduced from 2 to 1. Huge situation. I never thought spiralings should do 2 damage. I always thought doing 1 damage is correct. The golem going from 2 to 1 damage is kind of weird for me. Golems tend to have 2200 health, and I think that having them do 2 damage is actually pretty important. Like that's pretty nice. Not doing that seems kind of strange. Moving on from that, you have 1 star doing 1 less damage, tier 4, tier 5 1 star doing 1 less damage, tier 3 2 star, and this is probably the most important change here because you're probably going to see a lot of the metas warped around tier 3 2 star units do 1 less damage, tier 4 2 star do 1 less damage, tier 5 2 star does 1 less damage, and tier 4 3 star, which never happens by the way, this could have just been removed, does 1 less damage. So you do 1 less damage generally at the tail end of the game. So from what they're telling me is that they're okay with the damage being as it is in the early levels, early five levels or so. And then when you start getting like the tier 2 3 star is around like level 6, give or take, as well as when you're pushing for tier 4 units. So from level 6 onwards, they're saying the damage is too much, which I agree. As a person who plays a lot and can transition, I would say fairly quickly, especially compared to the casual player. I could probably transition, give me like 2 rounds to transition. And before it used to be like 4 rounds. Like if right now, currently, transitioning is so difficult because you take so much damage near the tail end. You're getting hit with 15, 15, 15, 20, and you're dead. And I think that that's crazy. So I really like the reduction of damage to player life. I think it'll help a lot of people who want to, like, let's say maybe ride lost streaks or just come back more. And I feel less bad about playing. Like, I'm able to do like a more optimal transition, and better players can do a 1-turn transition. But like having the onus of being it being necessary for you to be able to do that is crazy for a game like this. So I think that this is all really good. Like, these are super good, like, game-changing things in the game that I love to see. Like, excellent player damage reduction. If this is the only thing in the patch notes, I'd be like, and Aatrox nerfs. I'd be like, and Demon nerfs. So this is great by them. Really, really good. A carousel stage, available units goes from 10 to 9. I don't like this. I don't understand the need for them to reduce a unit. Is it because they feel that people aren't being pressured enough at the tail end? Because realistically, this just punishes the top 4 players, right? I don't necessarily know. It's a win streak nerf, huh? So it punishes first place in the carousel. First, top 2 in carousel. We'll see how it works out. Honestly, my opinion on this is really weird. I think what didn't need to happen in the game, it seems okay. Let's move forward. Assassins. We nerfed Assassins in 9.1b, but we want them to be functional in other comps. Example, Wild Rengar should be viable. So we're putting some power into their abilities to avoid synergizing their new power with the Assassin bonus trait. Also made some systematic changes how Assassins move in combat, how they acquire targets, such as deeper counterplay to Assassin positioning. Assassins jump earlier and their jumps are quicker, okay. Non-Assassin champ movement is slowed for the start of combat, okay. Assassins can be targeted sooner, okay. I've only got 10 AD, which is great. Remember, all Assassin bonuses are multiplicative, so any 10 AD is a pretty good buff. Ability damage goes up by 50 to whatever. Cat, okay, this is actually huge. Cat having only 3 damage targets at level 1 is so stupid. This is a great buff to Cat, because like I'm trying to play a lot of Catacopter right now with the 5-tier Cat build, and if I have a Cat 1, it literally feels awful to play. Having buffing the amount of targets Cat can hit, thank God. Like, it actually means that she's more playable. Rengar attack damage goes up, which is good. Attack speed went up. Rengar is starting to look really powerful. Ability attack speed buff. They're really focusing a lot on Rengar, because I think he got an 80 buff last patch as well. It used to be that stacking Rengar was kind of like a meme. Like, you'd only do it if you had like the Bloodthirster, the Rapid Fire Cannon. I think it's starting to get to the point where Rengar is looking pretty good. Rengar is looking really good. I would probably put IE or Rapid Fire, or like BT, IE, and some other thing on Rengar, and it looks like he can monster people. I'm curious to see if he maintains attack speed through GA buff, because that would be an optimal 3rd unit or 3rd item. But definitely looking interesting. I don't know what to think about this. I don't care about all of these. The most important thing for me is I've played a lot of Assassins in this patch because I'm a weird ass guy, and stuff is not decornering correctly when you play as the assassin against the enemies. Like, their movement is very bad, and they're not moving out of corners correctly. If this fixes that, which it doesn't seem like it does, it just feels like it's a bug with the game since last patch. That's all I care about. This other stuff seems okay. Like I'm okay with assassins being able to be targeted sooner if I'm able to decorner them as well. But it makes it very, very strange if it's still in the game. It just feels like if that bug is still in the game, because it didn't happen since last patch, I'm having like assassins just aren't playable for the most part if that's the deal. And that's what I'm most worried about. Aside from that, seems okay. Like, I guess we'll see how this works. And Rengar is looking pretty good. Demon is putting me a little bit on the strong side. Yeah, thank you. A little bit on the strong side. What a joke. We're making adjustments to keep them in check. Okay. So Demon mana burn goes from 25, 50, 30, okay, to 20, 35, 60. Huge nerf across the board, okay. Various ability damage goes down by 150, and it's okay. Aatrox ability damage. Oh, thank God. This shit, I actually think 600 is still too much. Wow. Oh, Aatrox health went down too. Okay, well, you know what? I'll take the double nerf. and Morgana ability damage went down. So these are the 3 like notoriously like overpowered base damage units for demons. I love that all 3 got nerfed. I still think, funny enough, I still think demons are going to be good. Notice the smallest nerf was to 2 demon mana burn. So maybe splashing 2 demons is going to be like still pretty good as well. And for part of me still thinks Aatrox is going to be pretty powerful, but shaving 100 damage and 50 health off Aatrox is definitely going to be pretty impactful for sure. But I think Aatrox is still going to be really good. Like, I don't think any of the demons are necessarily going to be seeing that much less play. They all seem to be fairly good still. But especially like the overall nerf should make demons a little bit less like prominent, which is what I want. Dragons being 100% dragon immunity or magic immunity really shut out a lot of options to fight them. Removing that, giving them minor defenses back to compensate. Okay, so dragons got they lost full magic immunity, and instead they got 10 armor on Shyvana, 50 health on Soul, and Soul has more AP. Okay, so let's talk about Soul. Soul used to be the most broken 4-cost unit in the game. Meta warping dragon that used to literally be used. Everyone used to get Soul. Like the name of the game used to be let's power to level 6 or 7 and find as many souls as we could to win the game. Then Soul got hit with double nerfs and other stuff started coming up again, and Soul never got reverted buffs to compensate. So Soul is currently, I would say, one of the worst 4-cost units in the game. Unless you're specifically getting the dragon immunity against large AP threats, like Soul doesn't really feel very good to play because it takes way too long for his ulti to charge up. I'm very happy to see Soul getting compensation buffs in any way, shape, or form. And I do think 100% magic immunity was really disgusting for the game because I think, yeah, just leaving no counterplay options outside of red buff feels incredibly bad, I would say. Really, really bad. So I really like that they're removing it, and I like the compensation buffs for these 2. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I think it's way better for the game that the 100% immunity went off. Cool. Elementalists. We pulled some power out of the golems, but we still think it should be powerful casters that fit in other comps, so we're putting some more power back in the abilities. You don't need to do that. First of all, like, for sure, there's no need for that. Brand, I feel like, is already fairly powerful. I'm down for Lysandra buffs. For sure. I think Lysandra, look at these numbers. Lysandra is the worst 2-cost mini in the game when it comes to level ups. A 3-star Lysandra hits for 250 damage on his ulti. That is worse than level 1 Aurelion Soul. Because at the very least, Aurelion Soul can hit multiple targets. Like, it's like if I ever saw Lysandra 3, I'm just like, this guy wasted so much gold. So I'm not very happy about seeing Lysandra, or I'm not very happy to see these Lysandra numbers. I'm really happy to see that they buff Lysandra numbers. 75 more base damage, 125 more base damage. That feels good. I would have been okay putting this to 500, honestly, because Lysandra just feels really underwhelming, and 300 here. I actually think Lysandra could do for a little bit more damage. I don't think Brand needed more damage. I think Elementals are still very, very splashable, very, very good. Let's move on. Guardians are finding a small niche, but the cost of running one early is a bit much, so we're buffing their trait bonus, letting the Guardians be a little tankier solo units. What? So their trait bonus 50 armor per stack. Guardians don't buff themselves. Braum armor got 50 armor. Leona got 40. Oh my god. So they're very tanky individual units. Like, this might replace, for a in-game example, I take Shen as a 1-star unit to a lot of times tank for me early game. Right now, I may look into picking up more Brahms now, because having 75 armor as a one-off or 100 armor as a one-off on Leona seems really, really powerful. Remember, the Guardian buffs no longer stack or no longer work on themselves. So overall, it's like a net, like, once you get both of them working, it should be okay. But Guardian buff even getting minorly buffed here is pretty crazy. In terms of comps that you can see Guardians in, Ranger Guardians is a top tier meta comp. Pretty powerful. I've heard Guardian Gunslingers is something that people have told me work in other regions. I've personally done Guardian Shapeshifters. Guardian is really strong when you have 2 units to buff, because your double armor can hit 2, or when you're super stacking 1 frontliner and 1 backliner, Guardian's a great buff to do, because you can double armor buff both the frontliner and the backliner if you make like a diamond shape. Excuse me, a diamond shape. So I'm actually surprised they're seeing. I don't mind the individual buffs. I'm I'm surprised the overall buff, the actual synergy buff to other units got something. Because I don't necessarily think they needed this. I'm okay with this. Think this is interesting. We'll see more in game, but definitely we'll have to consider running Guardians more, I think. Anyways, let's keep going. Knights currently suck ass. And the reason they suck ass is because the current meta is demon focused with a lot of magic damage. It doesn't matter if you block 40 damage in auto if Aatrox slams you for 700 magic damage, which you're not blocking. So demons got a little bit nerfed. Automatically makes knights more viable. Rangers are somewhat meta, and gunslingers are somewhat meta, which knights do fairly well in even currently, minus the ships, right? So knights are currently a fine 2-piece frontline at the start, but immediately fall off at 4 or 6 pieces. True. We're looking to improve the knight fantasy by having knights protect your whole team. Cool. Little strikes won't punch through these defenses. All right. So it goes from knights blocking 20, 40, 80 to your team ignores 15, 30, 55 damage from all sources. All sources means magic damage as well, which is really interesting. So what else did he do? Wow. Darius got 15 extra armor at 1. Garen got 5 armor. Mordekaiser got 5 armor. Sedge got 5 armor. Sedge stun duration went increased. Even Kale got buffs. Kale's actually nutty. It includes true damage as well. I'm wondering if it works on damage over time sources. Kale got nerfed health wise, but buffed armor wise. Because if it ignores like red buff true damage or Morella's true damage, it'd be really, really interesting. I don't think it should, because true damage should go through everything. Let me think. I really like Knight 2 buff now, because you're essentially blocking 15 for everything. But Knight 3 and Knight 6, or Knight 4 and Knight 6 seem still kind of whatever. Ideally, I think in essence they want to make it so knights beat gunslingers, because gunslingers spread their damage out a lot with their gunslinger procs to like hitting like your back line, your front line, all of this. So in essence, knights should counter gunslingers some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, gunslingers tend to run shrink and tend to run red buff, and so I don't necessarily know how powerful it's gonna be, but in theory makes sense, you know. But 2 knights definitely seems like a very, very good thing, and something that I might look to splash a lot more of. I know in comps like Rangers or something that you'd see a lot of 2 knights in, because you'd want to run Mordekaiser Sejuani as optimal level 6 4 Ranger comp, right? And so that's like an easy 2 knight synergy I could see myself going for every game, or potentially having every game, which would be pretty good, honestly. This knights also will probably do decently, like a little bit better against assassins. Realize that level 1 assassins have like what, 60 AD, blocking, you know, you're blocking a considerable amount of their damage if they're not critting, which is kind of interesting. Definitely going to be really interesting to have in the game. I do think that automatically knights are going to be better with demons out of the picture, because I think that they do well against the other top tier meta comp, which is gunslingers, and they're kind of built to beat gunslingers in the first place. So I'm really interested. More than this buff, I'm more than happy to see the buffs onto the individual units, especially armor wise. I do think knights should be a little bit tankier. Good stuff for me though. This looks very, very interesting. Ninjas. So we just won a good ninja game. So what is ninja now? We want 1 ninja on the team to be an attractive option. If you can get all 4 ninjas, it really turns on auto attackers and ability casters. Okay, so ninja goes from 40% AD and 80% AD to 40 AD and 60 AD and AP. Wow. Okay, and they also buffed the attack speed of Zed, Shen, Zed AD, Kennen AD, or Kennen got nerfed by 200 damage. Thank God, by the way. Kennen's broken. So, and then Akali got nerfed by 100. Kennen got nerfed by a lot. Which should actually compensate for, which should be compensated for by the extra AP, actually. So it's not as big as it looks like. I think it's gonna be a hard sell for me to run 2 ninjas anymore because losing 40 AD and AP even as a 1 seems really terrifying. I do like the Zed attack speed buff, and I do like the Zed AD as compensatory buffs because unfortunately Zed actually really liked the 80% AD. I think maybe even more so than the 60 AD, but I'd have to actually go and think about the numbers before I say that anymore. The only unit I kind of think is kind of like, it kind of sucks that Shen can't use the AP. Kind of sucks that Zed can't use the AP really because Zed ulti kind of sucks. But for Kennen and Kale, this seems really nice. I think it's okay. Like, it's kind of cool that they ended up shifting from AD to both AP and AD that more things can use. In terms of relevance, it seems like you'd still want 4, and if you can get 1, 1's better than 2. When it used to be, I brute force 2 a lot because they're just individually good units. Both the Kali and Kennen and Shen were all just good units. So really interesting. I have to see how it works out in game. General thoughts are, yeah, it just makes 1 a lot more powerful. Let's keep going. Nobles should be a very powerful buff when you get it, but a lack of magic resistance proved that wasn't the case, so we're adding MR to the trait. Ooh, that's very dangerous. We're also adding the attack speed and damage of many nobles so they can use their buff better and maintain their DPS. I really like that. So increasing the attack speed of the nobles like is great because it means synergizes really well with the synergy. Before, a lot of the attack speed of the units outside Fiora and Kale felt really bad to play. So I think having the attack speed that synergizes better with this kind of buff, even without the additional MR, it's like a really good change. So nobles, what do? They do 100 armor, 35 life on hit to 60 armor and MR, 35 life on hit. This is, I would say, a lot better for all extents and purposes. Like having, except for when you're against like maybe a full gunslinger comp, and even without, like this is just incredible, like way better. So what happens here? Vayne loses AD, but increases by attack speed of 0.1. This is actually a really big buff. So a lot of times people are not stacking Vayne right now. I think 0.75 is the highest attack speed ranger in the game now. Because I think Ashe and Varus are both 0.7, pretty sure. And which means that she's a lot more tempting for me to want to stack units on. So I really like that. I think that it actually gives Vayne some sort of purpose because it means that, okay, so at the 2 or 3 item stacking stack potential, like I might want to consider Vayne instead of just leaving her as a tank and like, you know, throwing her into the front line. So I kind of really like that. Sorry, I meant Ashe, not Rengar, my bad. Garen AD goes down and his attack speed goes up. That's fine. Mainly use Garen for the spin anyways, and it spills the spin faster. Vayne AD going down is compensated by her attack speed, which she'd like more anyways, so it works well with her ulti. Garen ability damage goes up. Down level 1, even level 2, up at level 3. You're pretty much never putting a level 1 Garen in anyway, so it's fine. Fix a bug where you wouldn't spin while moving. Okay. I wasn't sure if this was intended or not. This is really nice. This is really good quality of life buff. Noble should be something that people can actively go for now, and I kind of like that a lot. Really strong synergy. It might be too powerful given that it gives both armor and MR, but we'll see. And I just love the attack speed buffs on Vayne. That means a lot. Pirate is likely over nerfed for what it can do to econ builds, or making it less likely to get boots and fishbones and adjusting some of the champions. Okay, so Graves attack speed going up, TF improves cast speed, TF ability damage going up. Okay, TF is actually the worst 2-cost unit in the game. I know I talked about Lissandra and talked shit about her, but like she's at least somewhat playable. TF like is just awful. Like, you sell this unit every single time. I love the increased attack speed, so it feels more like appropriate to stack him. I love that increase the damage of his ability power. Thank God they're buffing TF because Jesus Christ, this unit didn't need it. Graves attack speed goes up was good. I think Graves is actually at the borderline where like you might actually want to stack Graves. He's for more explosive games when you really want to open up their front line with huge damage. And Graves the Blade Master is no joke. Currently it's better to stack the back line, but maybe in some way, shape, or form you can get like a really nice Graves opener the more slight buffs that he gets. Pirate average gold I don't think needs to be increased. I don't really like the fact that they're buffing pirates when gunslingers is a top tier composition. I would have been okay just leaving it as is, buffing the TF and the Graves and seeing what happened. I don't necessarily think you want to encourage like hyper rolling or donkey rolling gunslingers more than you already do. Anyways, let's keep going. Void, this buff is awful on live against anyone that's not Guardian, Thornmail, or Noble stacking. So pretty much you never saw anyone using this. They're reimagining this patch. Their monsters in your face, tear through the defenses, got it. All your units ignore 50% armor, go for Void units, your true damage. Okay, so what does that mean? Casting attack speed going down actually is a big problem. I think he's a champion that scales really well with Rage Blade. I tend to like putting attack speed items on him rather than going for anything else. Attack speed also tends to synergize better with his kit. So I don't even know if I really like the trade-off of AD to AAS here. I would prefer they just not do this. Ability damage isolated goes from 150 300, or not isolated 150 to 300. Attack damage goes up, which is big buff. I think Kha'Zix is one of the best like individual units early when there's not that many units and stuff declumps all the time. Kha'Zix getting the isolation kills like noble buffed units really easily and just kills backline really easily by himself, like a quick Kha'Zix too. Rek'Sai AD goes up, ability power goes up by quite a bit, or ability damage, sorry, and the ability heal goes down. 10 extra AD is actually a decent amount. Similar given here, 5 extra AD here. Interesting. Okay, Cho'Gath AS goes up by 0.5, which is small buff. Ability damage goes up by 100, and knockup duration goes down by 0.25. Void is going to be really interesting. Like, so when I see this trait, the first thing that comes out to me is like, let's stack the Cho'Gath with items and make his ulti do true damage and just kill everyone. You have a 500 damage AoE true damage ability. It hits guaranteed half their board. And you can run 2 brawlers with it. So you can run like a 4 brawler setup, throw in a Castin or a Kha'Zix and run something like that. In terms of comps that would run Void before, you can run Brawler Assassins, which is popular about 2 weeks ago, with 4 Brawlers, 3 Assassins, running Kha'Zix and Akali. And that's certainly going to be interesting. I also, Cho'Gath can be run as maybe in a sorcerer comp. If you're able to run Void sorcerers with Castin and Cho'Gath, you might be able to find something really, really interesting by doing that. Regardless, I think that this definitely has more appeal now. True damage is a huge thing. I think it on average makes your units, like individual units, do like 20% more damage or more. And remember, this is also a trait that would help deal with a lot of the I guess early noble stackers, because if your Void units on a noble plus 60 armor unit, it doesn't really matter early game, correct? This is really interesting. Okay, I like this a lot. Great trait change, in my opinion, to make it somewhat more usable. Not even somewhat, definitely more usable. Yordles, pretty good spot at the moment, but if you feel really bad when it dodges and work on things it probably should. We're making small adjustments and improving the 3P so you can throw Yordles and many other comps. Okay, so they increased the dodge on 3, decreased the dodge on 6, and also dodges on hit effects. They nerfed Lulu armor by 5, which I think is she's really, really strong. Veigar health went up, okay. Nar AD went up. Small buffs here. This is huge. Remember, Yordles are in theory counter to Gunslingers, but Gunslingers tend to have a good matchup with the Yordles even without RFC, because Yordles can't dodge on hits. So they get hit with red buff, they get hit with whatchamacallit, they get hit with shrink, and it feels really, really bad as a Yordle player. I think definitely dodging on hits just makes sense logically, but unfortunately by also being able to dodge on hits, it makes it really, really strange, because it might make their 6-piece or their 3-piece too powerful. Definitely something you want to keep a lookout. Yordles aren't currently 2 meta right now, outside of 3 Yordles in a demon comp, because Aatrox and Morgana do too much damage, and Yordles natural counter is magic damage. But as these units get nerfed, Yordles should probably come up pretty soon. If there's less magic damage in comps, Yordles will maybe take over. So you have to be really careful about buffing them anymore. But this is definitely something that should have been in the game in the first place. Anyways, other champions. Few units that were adjusting aside from traits are making it more likely for a Blitz to get a second grab off. Karthus needs to be a little scarier. Yasuo isn't pulling solo kill stuns. Okay, let's keep going. Blitz mana goes down. Great. I actually do think this is really, really nice. Maybe more encouraging for me to stack another Blitzcrank. Ashe AD goes up. Kindred AD goes up. So they buffed a lot of the Rangers. Realize the Rangers get huge attack speed. So extra 5 AD can turn into quite a decent amount more damage. Morgana goes, ability cast time goes to 0.5 to match all other champions. Okay. Yasuo got 1080 buff, which is pretty crazy. I think Yasuo in general is a great unit. I love using Yasuo. I don't necessarily think he needs any more buffs. He's like a tanky frontline Blade Master, has like 1400 health without items because of his shield. I don't really think he needed buffs. He's the only thing I'm a little bit like weirded out about. I think ADs in general need a little bit more AD because without shivs, Rangers aren't really viable right now. So I'm all for there's small buffs toward Rangers. Karthus damage, Karthus goes up by 50, 100, 1,000. I actually think the only thing Karthus needed was more additional targets, like for sure. So I think moving the targets up early is what is the thing that matters most. And I kind of do agree Karthus 1 is pretty underwhelming at 4 targets. I do agree with the buff to additional targets. I like seeing that a lot. I think it's pretty good. Items. Locke has been redesigned. It provides valuable shields for starter combat, but it's much less about permanent health. Okay, got rebuffed by 50 health, but it only lasts 4 seconds. I think Spark goes down. Thank God this item was actually broken. Nerfing by 25% is great. And Hush silence duration going down to 3 is great. 5 seconds was way too long. Stack shift damage going down by 10 is actually pretty good. This is a preemptive nerf. It's too strong right now. They nerfed it by 10% to see. Because they're buffing Rangers, they're buffing Knights, then maybe Rangers, Knights take over the meta. We'll kind of see if that's true. Locke is gonna be really hard to use. I can't think of a comp that needs the shield only for the first 4 seconds. The only comp that comes out to me is you want a comp that's really like just needs a shield to frontline burst. So assassins are something that like maybe can still use Locket. On top of this, maybe a frontlining for mages because mages need to buy 4 seconds at the very beginning to get their first burst rotation off. So this seems like a very niche item now, not something you would build at any moment in any game, and it might just be a very early game focused thing or an assassin focused thing. Seems like a pretty big nerf though. Okay, what happens? They went to go ahead and do this. Everything else is good. There are a lot of changes here. Generally speaking, in terms of what I expect to see happen, I think that we will definitely see more Rangers. Like Rangers seem very powerful. Knights hopefully come up as a reasonable frontline answer with Rangers. I'm really excited to see also how people hold on to their nobles to maybe potentially try to RNG the 6 noble buff. And I think Void actually matters a lot now because Void being able to tear through some of this stuff, especially like with stuff like Cho'Gath ulti or Kha'Zix's ulti, is gonna just melt people. So I'm really interested to see how it turns out. I like a lot of these changes actually. It's the biggest one still being above all of these, the lower player damage is the thing that matters the most and the thing I look forward to the most alongside the win or loss streak breakdown. I'm not sure if it's time for me to open for it yet, but it is something that I will be maybe attempting on the new patch later. What else is there? There's a couple of bug fixes. Dark Island no longer gives mana to people while equipping. Vayne no longer applies silver bolts. Frozen Heart no longer breaks for a round. Oh, thank God. Frozen Heart got fixed. I think. Dragon's Claw no longer reduce damage to champion abilities that deal true damage. I didn't even know it did that. The play bad but will take you back to the same key you just played. Thank God. This is the only important thing. Right here. This is the only important thing. Alright. That's my rundown. Jesus, that took a long time.